gotta keep this feeling, keep on breathing, even if we're slipping away. So I close my eyes and lose myself now, do it like it's only today. We got a party for a lifetime. No, we ain't stopping for the sunrise. No, we don't care about the bad nights. Before I thinking that you feel like this, make me feel like this. We got a party for a lifetime. No, we ain't stopping for the sunrise. No, we don't care about the bad nights. Before I thinking that you feel like this, make me feel like this. I'm on my last straw. I'm broken and I'm woken up. I'm done feeling your lies. I've had enough. I can't run your place in this faulty game. And all the words you speak mean nothing more to me, 'cause I'd start over now. Rewind, and I won't let you go. I need you by my side. I'm gone, so don't run from the truth. You're lost, now I know you played me just like I do. I still can't believe
Thank you, Triggered. Thank you, baby girl.
cutting all my teeth with all the lies you bring. 'Cause let's start over now. Rewind, and I won't let you go. I need you by my side.
Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have
Thank
a
you, Robin.
good
It's
time
been longer
wherever
than
you're
4 months.
with me.
Nice
Let's
to
take
hear.
it slow. ask me how we got here, 'cause you don't know how. You say we're taking on water, yeah, we're sinking now. You're looking all concerned, like we're gonna drown, but we both know how to swim, no worries, let's go for now. Let's take it slow, where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow, who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it slow.
Let's ride and girl.
Big rain, come along with me. Together with the truth you'll see. Got our pearls and our laughter too. The search for facts is always new.
Thank you, Miss Roxy.
In this place we keep it real.
Appreciate ya.
Classy vibes and joyful zeal. Join the journey, it's just begun. We shine brighter than the sun. Hit the light and share the vibe. Touch those pearls, let's take the ride. Helen's here and spread the cheer. Members make the truth so clear. Spreading truth is what we do. So hit subscribe and join the crew. With every search we pave the way. Together we will save the day. With every laugh we lift our hearts.
Excuse me. Yeah.
In the search we all take part. Thank you all for standing strong. Together we belong. Hit the light and share the vibe. Touch those pearls, let's take the ride. Come in here and spread the cheer. Members make the truth so clear. With every laugh, we lift our hearts. In the search,
Well,
we
oh
all
well.
take part. Thank you all for standing strong. Together we belong. Hit the light and share the light. Touch those pearls.
Parents' hearts break and can't make it right. Brandy and Tyler, they hold on tight. Brothers and sisters search every light. Four shadows moving through the town. Police on the hunt, they won't back down. Justice we call, don't make a sound. Monkey come home, we're all around. Where did he go? Bring Monkey home. Love's on the light streets we roam. Got him back, he's not alone. Michael Vaughn, come back where you belong. Posters and prayer signs in the yard.
Love you, sissy.
Every second's another scar.
Love you, baby.
Neighbors and strangers looking far. Faith in the distance like a star. The wind whispers his name in the trees, echoing down on bended knees. Hold on tight to memories. Someday soon he'll be set free. Where did he go? Bring Monkey home. Love's on the line streets we roam. Got him back, he's not alone. Michael Vaughn, come back where you belong. whispers his name in the trees, echoing down on bended knees. Hold on tight to memories. Someday soon you'll be set free. Where did he go? Bring monkey home. Love's on the light streets we roam. Got him back, he's not alone. Michael Vaughn, come back where you belong. Where did he go? Bring monkey home. Monkey home. Love's on the light streets we roam. Streets we roam. Streets we roam. Got him back, he's not alone. Come back, Michael Vaughn. Come back where you belong. Where you belong. Where you belong. Where you belong.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you all so much for joining me. Really do appreciate your time. Could have chosen to be anywhere on YouTube. You have a lot of options. Anywhere on the internet, anywhere in the world, and you chose to be right here. I know your time is very valuable, and I do appreciate you spending some time with me. Today is April 15th, 2025. It is currently 5:05 p.m. in the East Coast of the United States. Thank you all really for joining me on this one. I really do appreciate it. I know there's a lot of things going on in the community right now. I'll address those later. Um, but we'll get to all of that. Right now, we are here for Michael Vaughn. Michael Vaughn has been missing nearly 4 years, way too long, from his Fruitland, Idaho home. Brandy, we love you so much. Stopping by to say hello and thank you for everything. Working on garden, college apps, and family gathering. Justice is coming. I love Brandy. I love her so much. And I can't tell you the immense strength that her, Tyler, and the family have had, the resilience, the non-stop effort that Brandy and Tyler have given to finding their child. A child that was going out while his dad was ordering food and changing a diaper. That's how quick life can change for any of us in an instant. He was looking for just neighbors, little friends to play on a very, very hot Idahoan summer day. And sadly, in the neighborhood adjacent to the Vaughn family, there were predators living in their very neighborhood. 4 of them, 2 who lived there and 2 who were vagabonds at best. Michael was looking for some friends to play with. Meanwhile, Stacy, Wandra, Sarah, Wandra, Brandon Shirtliff and Adrian Lucien were in a vehicle and they abducted little Michael Joseph Vaughn, who is innocent and I can't imagine being a 5-year-old child and some strangers pick you up. A small piece of good. Blue is trying to get her paper published. I told y'all, look out for this young lady. She's on a mission, sending everyone love, peace, and kindness. Thank you so much, Brandy. And we are rooting for her, and she is amazing. Thank you so much, Peggy. Thank you so much. Prayers, Michael and family. Yes. It took a long time before they found the suspects. They named them, put their faces on television, and it's taken a long, long time for justice. But we're almost there. We are almost there, finally. Meanwhile, Brandy has been struggling with immense health issues. I have been so worried about her. Thankfully, the last few days she's been doing a lot better. And we are so glad for that. But she still has a long, long, long way to go. So, there's been some recent developments in Michael Vaughn's case. Things are moving, and I feel like we're finally in the beginning of a new era where we're ready to start a new era in this chapter. Still a long way to go. But I want to thank a amazing creator, guys, and she does not get the credit she deserves, in my opinion. Her name is Missing PNW Crimes Revisited. She is local, rather local, I should say. And she has been on Michael's case and has really, been speaking to Brandon Shirtliff, one of the suspects, and those around Brandon. And she's done an incredible job. She really has done an incredible job on this. She's just mastered it, in my opinion. And her link is in the description. Make sure you please sub up to her because she constantly is on Michael's case. We're going to view some of this today. Now, you guys know that I had one of the suspects confessions, interviews, interrogations, if you will, for a year. I never spoke on it or anything. But Fruitland PD and all the detectives on this agencies have been amazing, and they have never ever given up on this case. I know it's not as quick as any of us would like. Michael's case is one of the really rare ones where he was abducted by a stranger. Stranger abductions are extremely, extremely rare. Brandon Shirtliff has recently been visited by authorities. He has been offered up a plea deal. And it's not, it's we'll take the death penalty off when I say a plea deal. It's one of those. It's time that Brandon speaks. I think they've given him like 48 hours or something. Oh, thank you so much, Brown Eyed Girl Justin. Thank you for all you do. Such a good heart for keeping Michael and Sebastian's name out. The justice will be served. Thank you so much, Brown Eyed Girl. I really do appreciate that. But what I want to tell you, what we're going to listen to is going to be extremely triggering, very triggering. And it's triggering for anybody. I didn't really even sleep really good last night because of it. Knowing what is going on here. So I want to just tell you that this is going
This was my hair 6 hours after.
this is going to be extremely triggering.
And
If you are sensitive,
the long gap.
this is going to talk about what was done with Michael. How things played out. Things that Brandon has allegedly done. Very, very triggering. So I just want to tell you that it's really, really bad. Who is on PNW's panel is Brandon Shirtliff's friend, or maybe former friend and co-worker. He knows Brandon very, very well. And he's going to talk about his experience since all of this has happened. And I really want you guys to go over there to PNW and truly start, giving her support, because I don't think as many people saw this as they need to. And I want to give this exposure, and I want to shine a light on PNW too. So without further ado, let's get started. But again, trigger warning.
In a relationship with him, so at the same time, it's like, people change too. So, but as far as that goes, no, he never spoke to me about it. It was always just more personal stuff and like his life and girl stuff. He was his kid thing, and 'cause he's got a little girl too, and he would talk about just what guys talk about, really nothing at all about any of that at all. And then I got into it. I said, "Oh, what is this?" So his mom sent me a video or two, and my wife a video or two, and so that's how we started digging into it. And then I started questioning him about things, and I kind of got into the whole loop of things, I guess you could call it. But
Right, just
before,
kind of
before that,
updating
I didn't
yourself on
really.
everything.
Yeah, well, you got to understand too, Sam. I'm not a ton of a TV guy either. Like, I watch, Guilty Enough. Like, if I'm spacing out on something, it's usually my iPhone on my reels. I'm always doing estimates. I'm always doing something. I get off work, I do paperwork for hours, and then I'm not out on the couch kind of guy.
Right. Well, and that's
So,
okay.
so I
I
don't really
mean,
watch
so
TV. If I do, I'm YouTubing something or whatever. So how I got in the loop and my family got in the loop of everything is through via his mother had sent me some videos. Want to know if he had mentioned any of it. And before that, I hadn't heard a peep about any of it. And then it wasn't, long after that, I started, looking up the stuff, kind of digging myself. And I just started watching, like I spoke with Jonathan Ritchie's, I think it's called, and like years ago, and
oh, you
I'm the one,
actually spoke with JLR
yeah,
Investigate?
I'm the one that got him to get the little interview with Brandon years ago.
I did not know that. Oh,
But,
wow.
yeah, that was me because I was like, look, dude, if you want to come back and work, you better start clearing some stuff up, man, because I got a family too, bud. So,
Right. So, at what point did law enforcement end up coming to Montana to find Brandon back then?
oh no, back then it was around it was like November, so wasn't maybe a month after his mom had started, or a couple weeks after I started receiving videos, and I'd have to dig through my messenger to. It was
They had a working relationship together, and a few years ago, JLR did a interview with Brandon. It's the notorious uh, hot tub interview where he's in the hot tub with a beer and he's drinking and he's talking about his account of that day. Now, in my opinion, well, we know that Stacy's and Brandon's account has been totally different from the start. Totally different. Just way different.
it was in the late fall, early winter, something like that. I'm gonna say.
We got a super chat here that says, "Thank you, Daniel, for being here tonight."
Oh yeah, yeah, no worries, no worries. I went straight from painting to YouTubing.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it very much. Um, so did they come to your house or did they come to work? Can you tell us a bit like what
No,
went down since they came?
so you mean recently or like
No, back
the
then
20,
in
20?
2022.
Yeah, it was like 22, late 21, yeah, or something like that. Yeah, early. That was all. That was so. Okay, so I started digging around, and Jessica, how'd that happen? Did I get a phone call or something? How it started?
So Tina sent us some messages about this case.
It's, I say this a lot with people who, you might be around or whoever, that when something like this, God forbid, comes up, that they are accused of something so egregious. I mean, the worst of the worst. It's hard to wrap your mind around something, someone that and thinking that they could do something like this. That's why, Chris McDonough talks about the public self, the private self, the secret self. Public self is who we are right now. The private self is who we are around our family and our close friends. The private self is the person that nobody knows, nobody will ever know. And we all have that. But there are varying degrees to that, right? And that's what I always say. A lot of people will talk to these potential suspects and they will think, oh, well, they're so nice to me. They couldn't have done something like this. There's no way. Look, they're being so nice to me. Right? No, not a chance. Oh, he wouldn't do that. Well, you have no idea. Just because they're nice to you. I mean, what do you think they're going to be a devil to you and think, oh, well, yeah, now I see. No, they're it's not the way it works. So I'm sure this was a mind for this guy.
Days after she was contacted by the law enforcement.
Yeah, so his mom was contacted by law enforcement about some stuff, and she started flooding us with videos. And then I want to say his mom must have given him. I can't verify this, but I don't know. All I know is I was speaking with his mom about everything, and then uh, one of the detectives had reached out to. Actually, it was a couple of them. It was me and you spoke about him. You told me not to say anything with detectives. So,
Right.
but anyways,
Well, you can talk about the
so
detectives. I just didn't want to
so
use their
they
name.
so they reached out and via phone, just I said, oh, it's Idaho numbers. What is this? So I assumed it was relatives or something like that or whatever, and then it was the detectives from over there. And I want to say I even spoke with the chief one time over there too, and yeah, it was basically the lines of questioning there was just, did I know anything about it? And, they were just kind of verifying me and my story, I think, more or less. And
So did they come there then, or
I did
just
not,
on the phone?
I spoke with them via telephone, so
Okay.
over multiple occasions. But, and then there was a couple of times Brandon would actually be on the phone with him and he would just pass the phone off to me. And that's how we spoke a couple of times as well.
What was
So
Brandon's reaction to them
back
calling you
then,
and talking with you?
when everything started coming to light, I guess you could call it, and everybody was calling, and he was starting to get questioned left and right, and even by me too, FYI. So, I mean, when it comes, I've known him for years. But when it comes to stuff like that, dude, I need to know what's up, man. So, anyways, he went a little, as I think anybody would. I just back then I seen it a little differently. I just under a lot of pressure. I was like, man, I can only imagine getting.
Hey, Elizabeth, I think you can, I think I see you can drop the meal train link and you can donate that
And
way.
stuff like
Thank
that.
you.
So I thought the way he was behaving was just natural. To be honest with you, because if I was accused of anything weird like that, or which I never would be, but I don't know how.
Now remember, there's 4 suspects, maybe even more that may know about this or could be associated, but definitely 4 named. And all of them played a part in this abduction, um, transferring, unaliving, burying, digging up, reburying, concealing. All of them play a role.
How a person would react. I don't know. And like I said, like that was the first time I'd even seen him in like 8 years. And I'd only verbally started speaking to him a couple months before that, before he
So
came out
what
and started
was your
working. So my
yeah, what was
reaction,
your reaction like
I've been
hearing
on
all
the
of this?
I've been on the razor's edge, man, for a couple of years now, like because I would speak with detectives and then I would kind of keep them, like just trying to help them out, like the cops like, just let him work with you, let him stay there, we know where he's at, kind of thing. And, and he just kept working and, it turned into a year and a half or something like that. And then it took him a while to mellow out, but I just chopped it up to he was always getting phone calls from different people asking him the same thing. So like he worked all the time with me because I work all the time, and then
Yes. Brandon has a deal.
he
We're
lived
gonna
under interrogation. So I just
yeah.
chalked it up as like just overload, So I didn't know. But then there was occasions too where like I had to go, hey man, you better calm your ass down.
Right?
So
Yeah. Because I remember you telling me that, you're saying like he was reacting to what any person would react to, being a suspect
pursue,
in a missing
pursue,
child's case,
yeah,
like an abducted child and a murder here. And, so he was acting a little bit paranoid, a little out of the normal little bit. But I know you were concerned about all of that. How was you guys' relationship from like then when he ended up because I know he left Montana right after that, right?
yeah. He got a girlfriend or something and wanted to go back to Idaho, and then he came back.
Hey, I see you. I
He was
messaged you.
gone, I think, like a year,
Well,
something
then he
like
went
that.
to his dad's too and was there
Yeah,
for
and
a
then,
while.
then he was out of his dad's for a while. I think it was like a year and a half gap there too. So during the past couple years of this, he only stayed with me for like a year on and off. So because he would take off to his dad's for a while, and then he had a girlfriend in Idaho, and then he's ran us kind of all over. But for
Right.
a permanency, I would say it was like a year there. He stayed kind of steady with me, but he went to work every day. That's all we did. Go to work and go fishing, like guys do, I guess. That's all we did. And
Right.
and I had my kids out during the summer, and when all this stuff was happening, I asked my kids because they're younger, and I would be like, "Look, man, is Brandon being weird or anything?" And my kids never had anything bad to say about him, to tell you the truth. So they
Right. I
call him.
remember you telling me that.
Now think about this. Brandon has been around kids, obviously, in the last 4 years. You didn't I see you? I text you on 307. Okay, I'll text you from.
Like they call him uncle and everything. You guys are
Yeah,
like brothers.
they've never ever, and believe me, I've grilled them and questioned them up and down about weird stuff and this and that and innuisms and making sure they know what those things are
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And they've never one time told me anything. Like they honestly don't. They're like, man, that thing be being framed, Dad. And, you know what I mean? So because
Yeah.
and that's honest to God, like their take on it too. So,
So
but at the same
did
time,
you guys
I haven't told them everything that I've been, kind of privy to too. So,
right? Of course not, because they're young. I mean, I know
right.
your
Same thing.
some of your kids are young, I should say. But so let's fast forward then to like a few months back.
Well, this is the thing. Leah says, Brandon, what time will you be talking to Ellie? You either talk first or they're coming. This is not an option at this point, right? It's not really an option at this point. It's coming. You can take the deal or it's all on the table. So there's that.
This past November 2025, Brandon recently came back to work with you, right?
Well, here's what was happening. I was wrapping up my season, and my daughter wanted me to move out to Minnesota, where she lives. I have a teenage daughter out there, and her grandma she did pass since then, but she wanted us to kind of resettle out there because her grandmother was sick, and her grandmother passed a few months ago, just.
Best way month ago.
Oh, was it more than like a month ago? It's still like a couple months already. I guess it was very recently. I guess 5 weeks ago. So, and but anyway, so she ended up at anyways. But so we went out there for holidays, and I had a bunch of stuff to wrap up, like scaffolding, all kind of stuff, and I wanted to pack up my place, and I signed for a couple contracts. I'm in Montana working now, but once these are done, I am relocating after this season, so to help over that way. But anyways, so I sent for him to come back out. Well, he was hitting me up. He had been blowing me up again for a couple weeks. Like, hey, how you doing? I need some work, this and that. And I told him like my season's down, but if you come and help me pack up and do this and that, I'll pay you, a weekly salary to do that stuff, and help me get my vehicles kind of secure. And I wanted to like winterize my boat and stuff like that, And I was like, I'll pay you to do all these things too, So I got some work, but not work. So I sent him money, and he came out. And Brand's a pretty reliable guy, man, to tell you the truth, as far as work goes and stuff like that. And he came
Oh,
out
so you paid to have him come up. That's cool.
every time, to be honest with you. But I've known him for years, and he would do the same for
Right,
me,
right.
man. You know what I mean? So if he had the money, he'd do it for me. So he always, there's been times where the shoe's been on the other foot in our life too. He's always done it for me, to be honest. But anyways, yeah, so he came out, and then he was here like freaking 3 days, man, and then after that he was going off some chick for a while, which came to
So
be.
is that when he met Misty? Is when he got up there, or did he know
Yes,
her?
ma'am. Yeah, well, as far as well, that's what I thought then, but I don't know now. I feel like there's a little history or something, but I could be completely wrong there. I just feel like way too many snails underneath one rock that know each other not to be coincidental.
Right. Was Brandon clean and doing good and that kind of thing
I
when
mean,
when he got there?
allegedly, but I don't UA him, but allegedly, I mean, I live in Montana. Most guys out here just smoke pot. It's legal here, and
Right.
usually you can tell if they're tweakers or not. To me, no, he wasn't doing anything when he got here.
Did that change at all?
Yeah, I usually.
Yep. And you said that just after a few days he was just off, taking off, running around with Misty.
It turned into like gone a month or something after a few days. And it turned
Yeah.
into like me and my wife doing all the shit that I sent him to come and help him do, And it was me and her just doing it ourselves. And it was a ton of work too to get everything kind of squared away, I guess you could call it. But so I was kind of pissed with him, and then I ignored him for a while. And so then he ended up staying with Misty. And that's how he ended up staying with Misty.
So Misty is his girlfriend. And she's something else. Something else. I think they're pretty good for each other.
And me and her, and that's why we don't see eye and eye, me and her, because some people are susceptible to things, and a lot of people are susceptible to drugs, and if Brandon didn't go out looking for it, like he went out, driving through together looking for things. But if somebody comes around and he'll run off like a dog in heat.
Yeah.
So
So at one point, so what made you reach out to me and put me in contact with Brandon?
watching him melt down, trying to get him to talk or help himself in some kind of way.
Okay, I'm going to move forward here just a little bit.
Not of me, but like babbling.
Right. I mean, I mean, we've been talking for a while now, and I have no reason not to believe
Four.
anything that you're
Four,
saying.
Carol.
So, what did law enforcement say to you about
Listen,
Brandon?
That they had a plea deal for him and a warrant, and if he didn't sign it, they were going to come back with a warrant in 48 hours.
so law enforcement went to Brandon and they said, Brandon, here's a plea deal. You accept it, or we're coming back in 48 hours to arrest you. Okay.
What was the plea deal?
Not to get the death sentence.
Trigger warning.
Oh.
Trigger.
The death penalty. She would guarantee you wouldn't get the death penalty. They said that Michael's mom was sick, and they wanted to find Michael's body before anything happened to the mother, and and so they could be buried together, and gave me a story like that.
So this is what he is alleging. Hey, vet girl. This is what he is alleging cops told Brandon. As we know, Brandy is very, very ill. Very, very ill. She's doing better the last couple days, but I'll be honest with you, she just got out of the hospital. And while she was in the hospital, I was really, really concerned for her. Like I didn't know if she was even like I was really, really concerned. Sharon, this is Brandon Shirtlift's old friend, old coworker, all of that. So you're about to hear some really things that you can't unhear. So if you're not okay with that, it's probably not the live for you.
And and like I told him the truth, you know. I was like, I swear, dude. Like last he told me he was going to Kalispell, and
There's missing Pian. There you go, girl. No, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. You deserve all the credit, girl. And that's what I was telling people. You need more, you deserve more credit for this because you've been working your ass off on this. And I know it's something that's very close to you as well. So they've I want more people to go over there and
they were going to send him
yeah.
a bill, and that was like weeks ago. And if it was for anything else, if he stole a car or something, I'm just being honest with you. Like I'd be like, whatever, do your own job, right?
Right.
But for something like this, it's like there's gotta be some clarity, man. You know what I mean? So so
Did
that's kind
did
You
they
can't run from this forever.
have you contact Brandon?
they had me try, and I had him trying to merge with the detective a couple times, and I'll be honest with you, he did engage, and he did agree to merge a phone call, but they wouldn't answer. And then like an hour later, they called me back, and then he was being some kind of way once they called me back. So
Oh
like he
wow.
just he wasn't willing to engage no more, But at very first, I was like, dude, I just got surrounded with cops. They got a plea deal. They're talking about getting freaking death penalty. And I was like, you need to get on the phone because he didn't want to get on the phone at first. Then he finally got on the phone because my wife's friend called off her phone, and of course he answers that one. So I'm like, dude, like, look, here's the deal. But yeah, the female detective said she was here with the state's attorney, and there was a couple detectives, state's attorney from over there in Idaho, and it might have been the sheriff from there too. I'm not 100% sure, or some kind of law enforcement
Yeah.
representative other than an attorney. So I don't know. Maybe it was JD himself. I'm not sure, but there was another representative for the local agency there with them, and then there was the state's attorney that's overseeing the case, and I think it was Juanita. The other was her, and there was a male detective too. But I don't know if it was Chris or who it was.
It's just it's a real rare thing on here that true crime is actually true crime here anymore. Especially people who go live, and she's one of the channels that just stays true crime, which is very refreshing. So thank you all for subbing up to her. It's going to get really, really bad here in just a moment.
I can't remember the male detective who it was, but there was three of them. And
Oh,
they said they flew over, which was weird.
Listen, listen.
What's really weird about it too, Sam, is he had just left like 2 days before that, 3 days or something like that. Or maybe it was
It
like
was the day before.
the day before some shit, just
Yeah, it was the day before.
So wait, back up. So you're telling me that
Thank you, GG.
he see now I thought he went on that ski trip and then
no,
didn't
it was
come back at all.
no, he hasn't been back as far as I know.
I thought you just said that he came back
Nope,
just like the
no,
day before.
no, he had left for that trip like a day or two before they showed up
Oh,
over there.
gotcha. Okay, sorry. I was confused. I'm like, wait, what?
So then that was part of the reason why I started batting an eye. That was one of the super red flags.
Yeah.
There's been several of them, but it's kind of like how he hit you with the Batman comment. It's like, okay,
Right.
okay, Batman, how'd you know how to fly out 24 hours before these guys are coming?
Now, PNW, if you're still in here, I'm not sure about the Batman comment, or if anyone knows about the Batman comment, could they tell me in chat?
Yeah, that's crazy. Did they say what they wanted from Brandon in order to get that plea deal?
They wanted to know where the body was.
They wanted to know where Michael was.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I know this is a very sensitive question. I know this upset you a lot. You said that you were, upset, puking all night long after you talked to the detective.
Well,
Um, and you said that you'd asked the detective a specific question about whether whether the detective thought Brandon had anything to do.
and what part of it that he had to do with it? Yes, ma'am.
Right.
If he
And
thought he had something to do with it, then I wanted to know if they wanted any more help, what part that they thought he had to do with it, if that she could
Oh,
tell me.
gotcha.
what'd she
Pete.
say?
Gotcha.
Um,
Nothing.
I don't know if I should answer that. To be honest with you, with his legal stuff going on. I mean,
I have permission to
but
have you
but
here.
to be
So
honest with you, it's nothing no different than it was in some of the videos.
right, and I actually have that video, so I will just add that. And
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not really doing any injustice, or I'm not like spilling beans or being a fucking piece of shit either, because excuse my language. But at the same time, yeah, there's like several videos with the same comment on it. So you know what, Sam, I'll just tell you. So
Yeah.
she told me, because I told her that it's been driving me nuts, and I needed to know where I stood with him, like personally in life. And it's been driving me nuts, and I've been trying to, because I had him out here with me for a while, and I was trying to help, and I'd get him loose, and like I said, it was always like one of those in the ring would come around, and he'd get different, but I'd always get him there. I felt like where he wanted to do the right thing or be a different person, and then something would snap in him, and he'd just go right back to square one. Anyways, so she tells me that he helped bind him, um, bound him up with duct tape, put him in a plastic bag, suffocated him.
yeah, and I know that is very
Now, that absolutely corroborates exactly what was in Stacy Wandra's video. If you remember, Stacy Wandra, when he was doing his confession, said that he would be in a garbage bag. So what they likely did, in my opinion, they abducted Michael. They drove to Brandon's house. After they got there, I think they freaked out. And I think, in my opinion, Brandon took him inside and did just what we heard. And then they towed the car and came back to the neighborhood very late that night, and they had an alarm set for the next morning. They got up very early the next morning and went back to the house. Thank you so much, Fat Girl. Really appreciate that. Someone can call a non-recorded line like Crime Stoppers, Fire Department, etc., like to surrender a child law and tell where Michael is anonymously. No questions, no recordings. Please call. Yeah, they absolutely can. They absolutely can. Or Brandon can call or Brandon can tell them and leave the death penalty off the table, right? As well, Brandon told this guy what was already out there. He didn't tell him the truth.
Difficult for everybody here in chat to hear. We have gone over the Stacey Wandra confession footage before, and I will play that real quick.
The Stacey Wandra video is the video that I had for over a year. I did a FOIA for Stacey Wandra jail fight that he was in, which I showed you guys that when I got it. But I ended up getting a lot more than I asked for. And so I wasn't going to put that out at the time, and hadn't planned on putting it out at all. And then I immediately contacted authorities. I immediately contacted Brandy and all of that, and told them what I got. And I did ask Brandy if she, wanted it, and it's very, very troubling to hear. And I sent it to her if she ever, wanted it. And one day I woke up and it was out. It was out. And I freaked the hell out when that came out, because Brandy actually was the one who said, enough of this. I'm putting it out. People need to see. And I thought someone hacked my accounts or something. I was freaking out. So if Michael was taken to Brandon's house, why was Brandon taken back to the scum house? How many days was Michael at Stacy's and Sarah's house? You know, you could you could be right there, Vet Girl, actually. They could have taken Michael to, they did take Michael to Brandon's mom's house initially, and they may have not did anything, that night to him. They may have taken him, and he could have been alive for an extended period of time. Regardless, I don't understand why, it's why would someone, the thing is, most people who sees a kid, if they see a kid in distress, a kid, is lost or something, 99.9% of the people will find that child help. at the very least, right? Hold on, let's call authorities, let me, something. But there's always those people like the four that are out there that will do harm to your children. And unfortunately, that is what happened to Michael. Was he alive for several days? Perhaps. Perhaps. I don't understand. He was 5 years old. I don't even think, like, they could have dropped him off if they started freaking out or whatever. You know what I mean? They could have just dropped him off anywhere. Anywhere.
Just to reiterate the whole conversation that we're having right now, so trigger warning for anybody, but Dan is saying that the detective is saying the same thing that is in this clip. Hold on one second.
When you came back, why did you come back here?
What do you mean came back there?
Yeah, I mean, like the next day, like you shared with us that Brandon put him in the guest room, bound up, but then the next day they moved him back here.
Now, remember that. Remember Stacy Wandera, who took back his confession, lying sack of dog shit. He said that they bound him, put him in a garbage bag, and put him in the room. This is coming from two different people involved. So Stacy was actually telling the truth there. Even though now he says he was forced to do this. He's the one that you were pissed off, Stacy, because your wife threw your ass in jail and you thought you could get back at her. And it just got you back. It's crazy. Oh my God, Bad Girl. Thank you again, honey. To have a plea deal for a D case, they have to have a lot of evidence because death cases have to be locked up tight for conviction. Absolutely. They have way more scrutiny about it. No qualms about it. It's very expensive to do this as well, which, but I'm just saying there's a lot more criteria. And if they're not confident that they have enough for a death penalty case, you're exactly right, Vet Girl. Wonder if Fed resources use take the deal, dude. If he's smart, the plea deal is, from what I understand, if PNW is still in here, the plea deal is you have to say where Michael is. Where Michael is, and you will be avoided the death penalty. It's coming, Brandon. It's coming. And it's over. There is no more hiding or anything. Out of this entire situation, Brandon, out of this horrible entire situation that cannot be undone, unfortunately. God, I wish it could. But you can actually do something good, if you will, out of this She just wants her baby to where she knows where he is, Brandon. She's not well. Brandy is not well. And she's not well because of a lot of this that has gone on in the past 4 years. The depression, the anxiety, the relentlessness of it all. So if Stacy was offered a deal, was Sarah offered it because her initial one charge was dropped? He is a fool not to take the deal. Yep. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. It's for him. It's not going away. Right. And Lulu, you're exactly right. The not knowing and the families that I have talked to over the years, they say the not knowing is what is, hard, because Michael Vaughn is out there somewhere right now. He was placed, a 5-year-old boy. Oh my God. It's terrible. A 5-year-old boy, life was taken. She doesn't get her son, who was a giggling little cute as a button, blonde haired little boy who liked playing outside, liked being with his family, liked playing with his friends. He doesn't come back the same way that he left. He doesn't come back in the same condition that you guys took him. And there obviously is a consequence to that. And listen, I know drugs change people. It changes what people do. It changes people's behavior. It changes almost everything about them. But if it happened then, it still happened. That's a consequence of it. It's not going away. And you see, Michael lost his life. You've had 4 years out here on the outside, and your life is going to change forever. Whenever we, anyone, we do something such a awful magnitude as what happened, even addiction, it reverberates out. It hurts everyone. Everyone. This is a decision that 4 of you made. 4 of you are involved. When all one of you had to do was say, fuck no. What the fuck are you thinking? I don't understand how someone can think that they can just pick up a child off of the street. And what is their motivation? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if it's they wanted a child. I don't know if it was sexually motivated. I don't know if it was just evil. But you have to have a motivation to do something like this. And it's coming. It's changing. Listen to this.
Mention that we're having that the clip. Hold on 1 second.
When you came back, why did you come back here?
What do you mean came back there?
Yeah, I mean, like the next day, like you shared with us that, you know,
I keep interrupting this. Thank you, DC. He had to change his story. Michael was moved. And you're right. Michael was moved. I have Stacy Wandra's recording of his timeline, and he's flipping through it, and I had to pause it frame by frame. And he was in different parts after Michael was abducted. They were always on the road. They were always in Oregon, right? They were always traveling. They even went to Texas. Uh, I think they went through New Mexico and all
Brandon
kinds
put
of
him in
places.
the. Why did you come back here?
What do you mean came back there?
Yeah,
Thank
I
you,
mean,
Elizabeth.
like
Thank
the
you,
next
darling.
day, like
Appreciate you.
you
Thank you,
shared with
DC.
us that, you know, Brandon put him in the guest room, bound up, but then the next day they moved him back here. Why? Why come with him?
That's a great question. I couldn't tell you.
What do you mean you couldn't tell? You can tell because you guys drove with Michael Joseph Vaughn, affectionately known as Monkey, in a vehicle together. You see, it doesn't make sense. And like I've always talked in true crime, guys, most things have to make sense. Yeah, especially if they're giving an alibi. Right? It doesn't make sense to just go pick a car up. Literally, you're seen on the block when Michael Vaughn is missing, and then you're headed to Brandon's mom's house during that time to pick up a car and do laundry, but you're not supposed to be in the house. None of them were. Brandon wasn't supposed to be in the house, but they went in the house and they snuck in through the side to where the cameras couldn't really see. Okay. So guess this guy was told a bunch of BS on how this poor child passed. That's what I was saying. Why bring him back? Right. I think they're too stupid to be scared. They're just disgusted. Well, let me just tell you something. Stacy Wandra said if they're going to charge me, they're going to have a hell of a time or a hard climb or something like that. And he said that on my live. Um Well, now you might be getting the death penalty. So there's that. Why don't they just tell where Michael is and let it be over? Because this is the thing. These people do something so egregious to others, but they don't want the consequences on them. Yeah, let's try not to talk about any essay or anything like that. It's just crazy. These dudes were doing anything for cash scam. Yes. Yes. They were doing anything for money. I think Stacy and Sarah used people who were drug addicts, and they were there for I think for Sarah, they was there for these guys were there for attention, they were there for sex, they were there to make money, so she could and it was a way to also control them as well. You're right, Lakeside. You're right. You're right. You're exactly right.
I don't have an answer for that.
What
Sherry.
vehicle did they use?
She left me with a Lexus, I believe, that day. So
We need to go over that. I need to go back over that again, the video. It's been a while since I've watched it all. Because when I heard it, when I watched it, I was like, oh my God. He wants to say that he was coerced in saying this stuff. You are an idiot, Stacy. You're a bigger idiot than I thought. Does Stacy and Brandon look like the kind of dudes that move cars on 100+ weather and are concerned about fixing anything? Nope. No. No. Well, this is the thing. Why are you uh washing your clothes in the house, and you leave, drive an hour, and come back the next day and get your clothes, especially whenever, hello, Sarah and Stacy Wandra have a laundry service business. Hello, you didn't think that one through, but that's the thing. It's hard to come up with an excuse why you were there in the first place and why you're in that house. I believe laundry was done that night. I absolutely believe laundry was done that night. Uh, and I believe you absolutely changed probably. But it wasn't for anything of a kosher reason. It was for nefarious reason if any laundry was done. Brandon, why were you at the mail? Why was Stacy at multiple splash pads that day? Yep. Yep. Stacy, it's like they were hunting in my opinion that day. They were absolutely hunting for a child that day. Stacy is seen at the what they call the splash pad, which is between their two neighborhoods. It's kind of like it's like a big block here, a road, and a big, well, several blocks here, and then a road and several blocks here. And there's a splash pad where kids can play during the summer. And it's like a little thing where kids can play in the fountain and swing sets and all that. He was there earlier that day. He was also allegedly seen at other places that day. And Brandon, you can see walking around. In my opinion, they were hunting. And unfortunately, a little boy got out of the house just looking to play with his friends and was taken by strangers and murdered. 5 years old, hadn't started kindergarten yet.
I do know that this is very, very difficult, everybody, to talk about. And something else, I want to say that, we will get to some questions if Dan's willing. I know people are asking questions. I see them. Thank you guys so much for being respectful in chat. Dan is here to talk about things, and I'm very grateful that you're here, Dan. Thank you so much for, being here and talking. I know this is not easy for you. I know that you have, been very close with Brandon.
Samantha is really good at this. She comes off in a very non-judgmental way. And it can be very difficult because I had to do the same with Stacy. Had to come off as, very non-judgmental. That's the only way they're going to talk. And this guy up here, I really commend him. Really do commend him because I know this hasn't been easy on him as well. Just thinking about someone you work with, someone you thought you knew, someone you broke bread with, someone who was around your family. And so there's that. So I commend him. Thank you so much,
For
sir.
a long time. And
His name is Daniel, by the
I
way.
really know that this is not easy. It wasn't easy hearing from the detective,
Well,
what
you watch
she's
you watch a lot of A&E shows growing up, but to end up in one's kind of weird for a while, and it's kind of
right, because nobody wants to believe that they've known somebody for a long time and that they can be involved in something like this. That's it's a tragedy that Michael, 5 years old, is abducted and then later murdered and buried, and then taken somewhere else from that place. So, and we don't know where Michael is to this day. And we have heard several times, that maybe maybe Brandon is the one that knows where Michael is. And now you're saying that
Wait,
part of this plea agreement.
this guy is Brandon's old friend, and I don't know if it's his boss or coworker. So that's who it is. There's my Elizabeth. Thank you so much, honey. You're an OG. 18 months. I love you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much, my dear. He has been he just knows Brandon, and police have spoken to him. Brandon has confided, I guess, in him to an extent. He's tried to get Brandon to deal with this. He says Brandon would, get ready to think he was going to deal with it, and then it's like he would just flip. And you did a great job interviewing that turd, Justin. Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much. It was hard. It was hard to interview him because I have never seen someone so I've never seen a person be just a molecule away from being an absolute swine. And just disgusting and brazen. Just brazen. Sent me and Josh a invoice to pay him to come up so he could clear his name. Get the fuck out of here.
Agreement is tell them where Michael is. And then I want to play just one more clip and then we'll get back to some questions. This is a clip from Brandy. Just want everybody to hear this real quick. And Brandon,
Listen to this
if
now.
you're listening, here's a message from Brandy.
And Brandon, you know what happened to our beautiful baby. Whether you were directly involved, but you know. You need to start talking. You need to come forward. Quit lying, quit hiding. Please tell us where Michael is. Let our family have some rest, please. Let us bring our baby home. We've worked tirelessly, endlessly. Law enforcement, stop protecting these criminals. It's time to tell the truth. It's time to own up. It's time to find Michael and bring him home.
Brandy has showed such strength during this. I cannot imagine. And she has done this. She has went on panel to talk to the suspects that murdered her child and has begged to just let us know where he is. And if you do, I will ask them to, the first one to tell us, I will ask them to be, more merciful to you. Thank you so much, Lakeside. Find Michael, Summer, Sebastian. Amen. Thank you so much. I can't imagine, because that's what I always say when we're out here looking for these kids, trying to find answers, trying to make sense of something that should have never happened in the first place. Cops are working their ass off trying, and prosecutors and everything else. And there's always, in a lot of these cases, not always, but in a lot of these cases, there's people out there that know. They know. And everyone suffers even longer because they don't want to go to prison. Well,
And stop your BS.
It's so difficult for me to hear that right now, knowing she's so sick. I almost teared up right there. It's so difficult to listen to Brandy. I've heard her, plea with Brandy. I've heard her beg, Stacy Wandra. I know you said that you and Jessica, you guys have watched YouTube. You guys sat down recently, watched those confession footage that Stacy Wandra had and stuff. So when law enforcement comes and they're talking to you, they're telling you about this plea deal and everything else. I know everything really upset you. You ended up having a lot of emotional feelings about everything. Can you talk to us and tell us about, talking with Brandon afterwards? How did you guys' conversations go? I know you said you were up with him talking on the phone till almost 2 or 3 in the morning after law enforcement surrounded your car.
He was just more or less concerned about what everybody was saying about him, honestly. And
yes, that black duffel bag. That's a very important question, Vet Girl. Stacy said that Brandon had a black duffel bag full of clothes. Where is that black duffel bag?
We were just going over, accusations and what what I was told, and of course, I mean, really just that's kind of what we went over, and I was actually trying to tell him he should come back out here,
No,
and
Kathy. That's
I was
Sarah.
actually willing. See, that's another reason why I didn't.
Kathy. Kathy says, wasn't it Brandon's wife that had a fixation on killing? That was Sarah. And that is Stacy's wife. Stacy and Sarah are the tubs of lard. And I'm not fat shaming. I'm just saying that they're freaking lard because of who they are. And Sarah is a highly impulsive person. She gets into things. She gets into things and then she goes extreme with them. Like she'll go to the Dollar Tree and buy every dollar Bible that they have and then like go hand them out or whatever, thinking she's doing the Lord's work. Also, while she's doing the Lord's work, she's murdering children, a child, and sleeping with multiple men. It's a wackadoodle.
Shoot over there and pick him up too, and he was trying to come get. That's another reason why out of the many.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, okay, I was willing to come and get him to come out here and talk to the detectives while they were in town, but he didn't want me to. And then it was like right after they left, he wanted me to, and it was like, no, dude, I'm not playing these games, right? So it's, and then and it's like you're not really looking like you're trying to help yourself, but at the same time, I understand how it goes too. There's been a lot of men that tried to do the right thing in history and talk and.
Really, Cassie? Justin Daniels said in this interview that he found a bag in his garage of Brandon's after he left, a phone box and clothes in it. That definitely needs to be turned over pronto. So Adrian went to meet his child and the child's mother when there was a warrant for DV. Just wondering who visits someone when they had a DV warrant put on them. Went to meet his child and his child's mother when there was a warrant for DV. Good question. Adrian Lucien out of all four is the most mysterious in my opinion. I've done extensive research on him. He comes from a great family, wonderful family. His sister is a huge model. She's a huge influencer and she's stunning. And this is something I think she doesn't obviously speak about because it would probably hurt her brand a little bit, perhaps. So I don't put her name out there or anything because she's a victim in this as well. Family, they can't help what someone does. And so he's always in trouble. He's always in jail. He's always in halfway houses. He's always on the run if he's out. It's what he does.
And life sentences for somebody else's shit, so It's
Right.
like it's like rolling the dice, man, and being from both sides of the world, I guess you could say, in my past, and just being honest, my
Well,
life
no, I
wasn't.
mean, you know how it goes. You've been in prison. I'm sure you know people that have done things that are guilty, people that aren't guilty. Plus, being Brandon's friend, it's got to be really hard
I always
to.
own up to my shit, but mine was always, I went in for. I'm not supposed to use the word you said earlier, but I'll just say speed and marijuana back when that was illegal. It was like get a
Yeah.
life sentence for weed still when I went in.
Well, drugs is a nonviolent crime, right? There's a difference in nonviolent crime and violent crime, right? Major difference. Major difference. And finally, uh, I think we're starting to wake up to that more. Someone in there for drugs or some weed, or people shouldn't be in jail for weed now, in my opinion, at all. But violence versus nonviolent is totally different. Snorting coke or whatever you're doing is one thing. You're hurting yourself and you're hurting your family as well when you do that, but it's not hurting an innocent child. Big difference.
But anyways, so and theft, a bunch of retail stuff that comes with having a drug
I think so
problem,
too.
and that's
Pet
pretty
drug.
much what mine's a wrap of. And so that's what my time was for. But I have been housed with a lot of weirdos. Yes, ma'am.
And he says he's going to say here that he's been housed with a lot of weirdos and stuff. And that's the thing. Even the most barbaric criminals, even them, the most hardened criminals, will not mess with a child. It is a special type of evil. Hey, Pale Rider, Holly, how are y'all doing? Angel Mama, EMF, Angel Girl, Hatters, hello. It is and it is a special kind of evil to hurt an innocent 5-year-old little boy who's just trying to play with his friends on a very hot Idahoan summer evening.
And that are just life criminals that weren't rehabilitated, that just are just,
Hey,
I guess you could
Diana,
say,
Witchy.
animalistic in a lot of ways. And
Exactly, Witchy, I agree.
I got kind of a good sense of
Diane.
character living with 800 guys for years, and those kind of guys too. And there's 700 and something of them at the prison I was at. And
And he's talking about RSOs and stuff. So just to let you guys know, he calls them weirdos. So I and that's okay. Call them whatever you want to call them. We
is
have to
that
keep
what
it
is that what you got to
whatever.
say on there? RSO.
Yeah, that's a registered S offender. So
I
you can
always
use the
think you're
word
referring to
RSO
sheriff.
or weirdo, whichever one you want to call them. But yeah,
Or
being
weirdo,
housed with that many is
pedo,
crazy.
pedos and rapos and all that. Weirdo.
Well,
That's
don't
creepy.
say those words, Dan.
Oh, I didn't.
That's why I just said say weirdos or
Oh,
RSOs.
oh. I heard that. That's my dyslexia. I'm sorry.
You're good. It's all right. It really is. Now after law enforcement comes
Very
up
true,
there, now
Sandra.
it's a couple of detectives. It's the state's prosecuting attorney from Idaho. You said there was like a sheriff or law enforcement. We were told by Misty that it was a sheriff from Livingston, Montana. You're not
There, there,
sure,
there probably was a local. I'm sure. Anytime
right?
agencies go to another town, I'm sure they're catered or chauffeured by a local. I'm sure.
And I know you said that you were up, all night long with Brandon talking to him on the phone, and then you guys stopped talking. You weren't feeling very good till very early morning, and
here's what happened. It took hours to get him to start talking. And then and it turned into a late night because it was like 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the damn morning before he would actually start having a real conversation. And or engaging at all. It was always, hold on, I'll call you back, or this or that, or just complete ghosting me, for like a couple hours. I mean, like, seriously, I had to have two of my friends text him off his phone, like, hey dude, there's detectives here saying they're finna arrest your ass, because he just wouldn't answer my damn phone call. Because I'm always, like I said, I'm like a big brother. I'm always grilling his ass, man. Like, I need to know what's going on. You know what I mean?
Right. And I don't blame you. You want to know. And didn't at some point you call him and his phone was like either off or you
he
turned
turned it.
something.
Yeah, he turned it off for a while is what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I know when I tried calling him afterwards, it was saying something like this phone. Oh my gosh, what was it saying? It was like, it wasn't like your normal near. This phone's been disconnected. It said something. Jessica, do you remember exactly what it said?
Yes.
The phone number could not be reached at this time.
Yeah, I was saying something like it was unreachable, like the number
Reachable. That's what it was. This phone is unreachable at this time. I know, talking with Misty, we all actually thought we had been blocked. And then I tried using my husband's phone because he doesn't know my husband's phone, and it gave me the same thing. So then we kind of figured out, okay, we're not all blocked.
Yeah, weird is not necessarily a bad thing. I think he's just using it as, there's cool weird, and then there's uncool weird. You know what I mean? So it depends on what kind of
Something's just going on with his phone. He's either silenced it, he's turned it off, or something else. And then here recently, when we spoke over the phone, you had found an empty phone case, which we're wondering whether or not he got a new phone or something.
So to be honest, that bag had been in my storage since he had came out. When he came out the last time, when he was supposed to come out and help us pack up. So
November.
Or was that from the first time?
That was from the first time.
Was that from the first time?
Yeah, when you lived his
okay.
Yeah,
it must have been. So Jessica.
Okay, my bad. Then I misunderstood. So
no, I think
about.
No, but there was a question you had asked me before about when he first came out to work back in 22, if he had changed his cell phone, and I didn't have an answer for you during the time you had asked me that. I wasn't aware. I mean, how would I know, right? And then I had found, and I told you, bad as it sounds, because given what's going on,
I agree.
He had a couple bags in my storage, and recently when I was telling you this, and so I went through them, and
I think this guy's a good guy overall. I think he's trying to do, the right thing. I think he's probably made some mistakes in the past, and he's, who hasn't, but some are bigger than others. And I think he's a good guy overall, and I appreciate him quite a bit.
And there was a cell phone box in there in the bag that he did come out with originally. And that's why I told you, like, Sam, I don't want you thinking I'm lying to you. But at the time, I didn't have an answer.
Right.
But, I went through this bag and there was a new cell phone box in there without a phone in it. So for A14.
Thank you, Mandy, for the super sticker, hun. Thanks everybody for the super stickers, super chats. Thank you, Yaya, for being a member for 6 months. I really do appreciate it. I'm sorry that I didn't do we're gonna dance in our chairs just a little bit for a second, Dan, because thank you guys. to confirm that. I mean, we don't know for a fact that just because there was a new case that he did at the time, but you did find a box, you know,
That was
in a
in
bag at the time in 2022 when he was there. And yeah, I had asked, do you know if when Brandon came up there, if he had gotten a new phone?
Oh,
yeah, and
not
he
at
had gave
all.
my
Not
son
at all.
he gave my son an iPhone back then too when he had moved over here.
Yeah, he did. He had no idea in 2022. No idea. I think he talks about it in here as well. And again, it's really hard to just think of your friend or your boss or your someone you work with, someone you're close to, you confide in, doing something like this, or someone blaming this on one of your friends. Brandon's mom told him, which I am really shocked. I kind of have a new view of Brandon's mom, to be honest with you, because I always felt like she was protecting him and shielding him, but it sounds like someone's saying I'm muted. I'm not muted, am I? Y'all can hear me, right? Never mind. Okay, sorry. Someone just they just texted me and they said you're muted, and then I got a text again. Never mind. I accidentally muted my remote. Sorry. Okay. Um so I this is the thing with Brandon's mom. It was weird for me because, right, like Michael Vaughn was in her home. Michael Vaughn was in her home. She wasn't there when this happened, right? She wasn't there at all. And she was out of town. Brandon was never supposed to be in. What do you got in your mouth? Michael was not supposed to be, or Brandon was not supposed to be in her home. And because she knew how he was. He's on drugs and all of that. In my opinion, I don't see needs to drag her son into the police station and talk and demand he talk. I don't see needs. You don't think she needs to drag her and talk? I mean, he's an adult. He can't, right? She can't. And I can't imagine. I mean, that's a mind. Talk about your mind being screwed up. Imagine your kid who's, already addicted at that point. That's why he's not allowed in the house and she's out of town and you're out of town, and they kidnap a child and bring him to your home while you're not there. Oh my god.
He had like this red iPhone. My son's favorite color is red, and
Oh,
Brandon being a softie, Brandon was like, "Yeah, buddy, here you go. I want a new phone anyway." Which and so I don't like. Jess was just saying that
I don't know what you're
that could
talking
have been
about.
the reason why, but he had both phones. Yes, yeah. This is like 3 years ago too, so I'm just trying to remember the details. So, and yes, he did have two phones when he came out, but whether one was new or which
I think he went through
Which
the
one was
garage.
new?
or
I couldn't have
something.
told you that answer when you asked me. And digging through that bag when I was going through my storage,
Now remember, the dogs hit at Brandon's mom's house as well.
getting ready to clean, do spring throw out shit kind of deal. Um, I seen a duffel and not a duffel, like zip up suitcase, like a travel bag, and open it up, to
Val,
be honest. And it wasn't my
Val,
bag, but I went
I
in
would,
there just
Yeah.
given the circumstance, and
Val, I would too. My kid, I don't care how old they were. I would drag their ass down there. I would drag their ass down there. I'm just saying. By one ear, one toe, one something. Something. Now, this is very important because he's talking about a bag that could be very, very important. Yes, Elisa, it was a cadaver dog at Brandon's mom's house that hit. This is very important because remember, there was a bag that Brandon supposedly took laundry that
that
evening.
kind of deal. Um, I seen a duffel and not a duffel, like zip up suitcase, like a travel bag, and open it up, to be honest. And it wasn't my bag, but I went in there just
Yeah.
given the circumstance. And yes, there was a cell phone box in great condition. Whether he brought that with him, I mean, to look at it at first glance, that was what it would seem like.
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. My bad. I thought we were talking about here recently. So, a question
I
I accidentally
when did Brandon
missed
leave? When did he take
um
that? You don't remember?
that I had is, do you know what the warrant was going to be for when they came back to pick him up? When they said
Um,
like, we're coming back in 48 hours with
so the ultimatum. You're asking basically what they said the ultimatum
yeah.
was if you don't sign this fucking warrant in 48 hours, you're going to die. You're going to get the death penalty.
Oh damn. For what? Did they mention the charge?
First degree murder.
Wow.
There you go. There you go. Stacey said they were in the truck. Then he told CM she was in the Lexus. Yeah, and this is the thing. I think Stacey was, in my opinion, he was lying about the Lexus. Because they couldn't have towed anything with the Lexus, and Stacey wanted to separate himself with not being in the vehicle with Michael, in my opinion.
Wow. And you're pretty much, a lot of what you have said and matches what Misty
Thank you,
has,
Lickstad.
told me about the prosecutors and stuff going up there. And I'm done with all of my questions. So the only thing to ask you really is now is just, what are your feelings about everything? How do you, like, are you still talking with Brandon? How's your guys' relationship? How are you feeling about, everything that's gone on and happened? Like, where are you sitting at right now?
Not as comfortably with him as I was. I will put it that way. You have to understand something. I didn't know Brandon during those years. I was away. So I don't know. And when he came back to work with me at 22, it was like reminiscing with a middle school buddy. It's that kind of
Yeah.
feeling. It's like they don't do no wrong, right? And so it's like what I mean. And it was like, so I was like, get the fuck out of here with that.
Note 1-800. Brandon had a Mercedes that they were he had a Mercedes that they were towing.
You know, that was what I was saying. Ain't no fucking way, man. Because I've seen him around my kids and all this stuff. There's no way. I've known him when he was younger. I've never known him or ever heard of any girl saying anything weird about him or anything
Yeah.
like Brandon tried to do this or that. I've never heard any of that my whole
It
life
was a
about him.
Mercedes.
Never. So it was very, very, very hard for me to accept how someone that I've always known as a very sweet person that would do anything that was capable of doing anything like that. But like for instance, like I put my bulldog, he can be an asshole. I have a big old pit bull, and he goes to timeout.
Here, I'll show you.
And he goes in the closet and he's trained to do that. I'll say, go get your ass in the closet, go time out. And because he'll bite my little dog and he's not supposed to do that. And Brandon, come on, Danny, he's been in there for 10 minutes, man. Let him out, man. He's always been that way around me and always been that way with my kids. So it was very hard for me to believe that Brandon's abducting children and they're killing kids out there in Idaho and shit. It was just like, what the fuck, And
Right.
so it was very hard for me to wrap my head around it, man. At first I
Hey,
was
Kelsey.
defensive, I was honest about all my questioning, like when I talked to the detectives and stuff, but in a defensive way. I was, but trying to get them to communicate. But like I said, I understand how that could be too, because your words can and will be used against you.
Right.
So I understand why a person would or wouldn't do it. So when I try to believe a person, knowing that too, with that kind of equation, to me, it was just like, this is BS. If anything, he was Ponzi. If you want I don't see him that or he was just so freaking drugged out or tweaked out or whatever for those years that I was away that I just don't understand I didn't understand his character then. So I
Yeah.
think
Has he ever said anything to you like suspicious that made you go, what'd you just say?
there's been innuisms, you can say, yeah. And there's been cliffhangers, there's been comments where I've been, like 30 minutes later going, what the fuck did he say that for like that?
I wish they would have gone into the little innuendos and stuff that he said. Hey, Boo, good to see you. But
Damn.
she
Yeah.
doesn't really go into that part.
And there's
But
some people that
you've also
messages
spoken
with
to
him
him.
and talks with him he sends like these really weird innuendos or
That's what
he
I
says
mean.
some really
Yeah.
crazy things in his text or emojis and stuff and it leaves you sitting there going like, what the F are you even talking about right now, Brandon? That has nothing to do with any of the like I woke up the other morning
Be a good
and
attorney.
I haven't talked to him very much. And I woke up the other morning and he was telling me about how he's gonna, start doing some motorcycle stuff, motocross stuff, and how he was gonna make it someday and like all of this other stuff after that.
So after the police come and give him 48 hours to take the plea deal or not, he's texting Samantha here from PNW and saying that he's going to make it someday. He's going to get in some motocross stuff. They don't have that in prison, buddy. That's not in prison. Listen, your social life is over. It's done. Michael's has been done for 4 years, and he was only on the planet for 5. You have to be on drugs still. You have to be on drugs to think that. I mean, legit. That's unbelievable that you think that. I mean, Brandon, how old are you? I can't even remember how old he is. 39, something like that. I can't remember. Michael got to be on the planet for 5 years. 5 years. Didn't even get to start a day at kindergarten. There is no motor cross for you. The only cross you need is to go to the cross and ask for repentance and say where Michael is.
That, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? You know? But yeah, it's just all kind of crazy. I mean, I can totally understand how you're on the teeter
I
totter
can I can
daughter
tell you
because she's
this.
close.
Well, I mean, yeah, we're close, but close enough to where I still want to know you if you're guilty of something like that. Fuck no. I disown my own kid if he did some shit like that. What was damn it? I had a point for you too, Sam.
That's all right. I know you get nervous and you forget things and stuff.
No,
Do you?
here we go. I got it. I found it. What really started shifting my perspective back on the original question? What really started shifting my perspective, and I've told him this, so I'm not
Mhm.
talking shit. Yeah, oh yeah, dude, of course. And is Stacy's comments. Like I said, there, I've been in and out of prison when I was a young man, and people lie. Nobody's guilty, or you're guilty for everything. There's a lot of guys that own up all their shit and they go do their time and they never bullshit. And yes, sir, and I did it. And they take their lick and they serve their community and they do their time. They get out and they go on with their life. I was one of those people. And then there's people that are just in and out of prison their whole life. They never change. They do the same shit and they have the same behaviors. There's one freaking thing they don't fucking do. They don't make up a story about watching their wife and their friend bury children.
Right.
Very true.
So when I finally,
That's right. He's right. Nobody. He is so right. Daniel is so right there. Nobody makes up a story about their wife and their friend burying a child in the backyard, and then cadaver dogs go there and hit. And then, even in the confession video, it says they might have moved him. Stacy rode bulls. Why not motorbikes? Did Stacy say he would make Brandon famous? Well, Brandon, you are famous now in a bad way. Yeah.
seen that video, because you got to understand, like, I've been watching these videos since I got the original one from his mother, which was like y'all's channel 8 clips out there or something, or in Coon, whatever their news channel is over there.
Or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a couple of those original news clips, it was a couple of those is what the first ones were for. The one where JD did with the 4 suspects and da-da-da. And it was like, so I've been watching them since then, and I've been dealing with this since then. And even back then, I told Brandon, because he tried to tell me this dude's fucking crazy, he's lying. I was like, look, dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't give a fuck how crazy you are. You're not gonna say something like that to somebody and make it up.
Right. What was your reaction when you heard Stacy talk about Brandon binding, Michael up, and then hear
Tongue
it
biting,
from, the detective too?
tongue biting,
Yeah.
gut
Yeah,
curling.
that's not easy to hear.
Not easy to swallow either. It's kind of like you got to shave off all these feelings for something.
I don't know if the 48 hours has expired. I mean, when cops say 48 hours, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be there 48 hours on the dot. That may just mean he has 48 hours to answer them, or they are going to come and arrest him. The deal will not be. You can't take the deal after that. So we really don't know. But I can tell you it's coming. I promise you it is coming.
Someone that you build over the years. It's kind of like just a weird. It's been a weird transition, but it's not a hard one at all. Trust me, but a weird one. And man, we come to the end of this. You know what really makes me linger on this. I'm a gambling guy, and I feel like they're Ponzi-ing the guy, and
Oh,
I
that they
feel
could be setting Brandon up.
and that's why they wanted to take him to Kuna that night and all that stuff. Yeah, that's why they chose that night. And Brandon had been asking them for months to go.
See, I disagree with him here. I think this is where it's still hard for him to imagine that. I think there's a part of him that still struggles with this, saying Brandon, wanted to get his car for months. Well, who lets their car just sit there for months? You know what I mean? You guys all rode together in the same vehicle. You guys all rode together in the same vehicle. Okay? With a child.
Go get that car. Why does
Yeah.
Stacy didn't want to take him that night? So they can put
Yeah.
whatever. And I think that's why the dogs hid over there, because those fucks put something over there that night. And his dumb ass being inside taking a shower, whatever he was doing, like y'all said, he didn't know what they were doing.
No. Sorry.
I think
I mean, we don't know. We don't know.
No.
We are not privy to any information,
And
but we do
I
know
don't
that
know.
law
I don't know
enforcement
either.
thinks he has knowledge.
I
And
don't know either. I'm not law enforcement. I've watched this stuff over and over and over, and I also lived with Brandon during all this outbreak. So
well, yeah, and that's why it's so great to have you up here and talk about Brandon and, even describing him in the way you did, like, okay, Dan, can you let the puppy out of the closet? I mean, seems like a nice guy. He's caring for animals and
but
stuff.
I mean,
So,
so did Ted Bundy. Look how many fine
yeah.
women he could work. I mean, it's I just don't know, man.
And he's exactly right there. Look at Ted Bundy. Very charming, right? Very charming. These people, they you only see the best of them, right? Doesn't mean anything. Because someone is nice to you, and they're being, accused of a crime, but they're nice to you and they're nice to other people, doesn't mean a damn thing. Oh my God, he's so nice. Okay. He wants you to believe him. Of course he's nice. He's charming you. She's charming you. It doesn't mean anything. It just means there's a sucker born every minute who believes them. That's what it means. That's all it means.
You know.
I know
And
you're on the fence. You've been on the fence for a while, and that's okay. It's just great
like
hearing
if
you here.
if that video wasn't so grainy and I could say, oh fuck, that is Brandon, it would be a slam dunk.
I can tell you that picture of that video, that's Brandon. It's Brandon. But I'm sure more of that will come out whenever trial goes on. Sure it will be.
Or if it wasn't like everything really pointing toward
Thank you, Eileen.
the other three, more or less, and if it wasn't like so convenient that the registered RSOs live next door, and if it wasn't so convenient.
Now, again, and I agree with him with talking about Daniel talking about the neighbors next door to the Wanderers. They are registered child S offenders, right? And sorry, whenever they say, Pearl, come here. Whenever they say, four and possibly more could be involved, they've never named others, but I think that's weird that there is two RSOs, child RSOs that live next door to them, and a child comes up missing. Uh, but I mean, this is the thing. There could be. You just don't know. You just don't know. They could be. They could have wanted money. Oh my God, Pearl, come here. They could have wanted those sick bastards across the street on the other side of the street there. They could have wanted a child, and you give drug addicts or money hungry people uh, a reason, and they'll. So you don't know. You don't know. Of course, Cassie. Brandy's my buddy. Brandon got out of the truck. Wow. And Stacy said he heard someone yell for a child to come inside. Interesting. They could hear someone yelling for a child, sees one, but no children on the street. No, Vet Girl. He said he said they could see a child about 8 or 9 houses down, which you can't even see 8 or 9 houses down. That's down next to the splash pad. So he's full of shit.
Man, I just think there's a way bigger picture, and I think that everybody's trying to fucking put it on the fucking Ned Flanders. You know what I mean?
Ned
And
Right.
Flanders.
I think
And we've talked about this. We've talked about, I'm going to go ahead and say it and talk about it, but your words will get me in trouble on YouTube. So Dan and I have talked about, whether Michael could have been sold, whether or not he could have been trafficked, because there's some kind of maybe trafficking going on with Adrian Lucian. And, we've talked and speculated, theorized, nothing factual about those
Oh, really?
things,
I don't remember that, Vet Girl.
because they are, you know, involved with a lot of RSOs. I mean, I connected them to 16 that I was able to connect to them on YouTube, but there are many, many more. So, thank you so much for becoming a member, Mandy.
I'll tell you the one thing I
Spirit
really,
Seeker
I really
Squad.
did.
Hold on one second, honey.
Okay.
Spirit Seeker Squad, thank you so much for becoming a member. I love having you here, hun. Thank you. Thank you so much. I cannot do this without everybody's support, and I appreciate you so much. And that, and I know that, you and I have talked to, you've mentioned Brandon's mom, and that you talk with Brandon's mom. What is Brandon's mom thinking about all this stuff?
It's been a while. Well, I used to kind of get on her ass for a while because I was trying to actually like I said, when I was being, I guess a guy can say a little more blind. When this all this first broke out, I was trying to help him get an attorney with his mom. His mom and him didn't want nothing to do with it. And his mom basically, she wanted him to come back and talk to cops for a while. And he didn't want to, because when he came out here originally,
Listen
he
to this,
had
guys.
been on probation for a pot charge, and he didn't want to go back because he thought they were going to put him in
Dad,
jail because he ran from probation or whatever.
Maurice.
So, and that's why he didn't want to go back that time. It wasn't that, because I mean, he was talking to him on the phone and stuff all the time, but they weren't going to expedite him from over here for that, for, you know, absconding, I guess you call it. So that's why he didn't go back. His mom was all pissy about that. And I have only talked to his mom maybe 3 times in the past year.
Mhm.
And that's because I said
Yeah,
a
he
couple
wasn't scared of
things
a pot charge. He wasn't scared
along
of
the
a pot
minds
charge.
of, I thought she was being a piece of shit mom. And she didn't like what I had to say, and we kind of quit talking.
Do you know anything? Do you know if Brandon has an attorney right now or not?
I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, I know Misty said that he got an attorney, and then, you know, when they offered him this deal, I heard he was supposed to go down to Fruitland with his mom, with his attorney, talk with, you know, talk.
He's been running scared. Let's just say what it is. He's been running scared, and if you don't go talk to them, they come to you. And I'm telling you, don't avoid the police. You only make it harder for them. They're going to make it harder for you. Period.
Talk with them. Do you think that it's a little bit odd or suspicious that he doesn't just take his attorney, if he has one or if he doesn't have one, whichever way, that he just doesn't go in and go talk to law enforcement? I mean, if he's telling you that he hasn't done anything, you know, then why not
I
go
thought
in
so.
and clear his name, you know?
Yeah, I've thought so for, and that's actually what led me into doing what I'm doing too, a little more, and which actually pushed him away from, I guess, us being kind of friends, but given circumstances, whatever. But I was pretty pushy about it, like way more than his mom was. But his mom did try to get him a few times, and I did, and I've always thought that it was very suspicious that you wouldn't go have, you know, if you had an attorney, which there was a time he did, that you wouldn't go do a statement with him or at least go down. And I tried to tell him to go, you know, go. I said, dude, go do a damn polygraph, go do whatever, you know.
Do you know if Brandon's done a polygraph?
I don't think so.
Yeah, Stacy Wanderer said that he took a polygraph and passed one, and
Yeah,
that
'cause
Sarah and Brandon took theirs and that they failed.
I don't believe Stacy passed a polygraph at all. At all. In the least. In the least. Guys, I don't want this to be like too long of a live. So I'm going to end it right here. Go over and make sure you give Samantha at PNW a big thank you. Tell her we sent you over there. She has been doing an amazing job. We're going to be talking more about Michael's case as things turn up. Right, big girl, exactly. And not only that, we're going to be I'm going to go back through the confession and the interview Stacy did for us, and I think we need to compare that with Brandon's first interview in the hot tub, what Stacy said, what he confessed to, and now what we know. I think that's going to be a very interesting how we can narrow this down a little bit more, corroborate, you know, some of the things that they're saying, and pretty much see perhaps where they're lying at as well. So I want to thank you all so much for being with me. I will be back here in a little bit. It'll probably be about 9:30, 10 o'clock on the East Coast, so later tonight. But I've got some things I have to take care of this evening, and then after that, we're gonna be talking about Sebastian Rogers' case. There's been a lot of craziness in that today, and Michael Hong, who is from uh, Washington State, 21 years old, autistic male who vanished almost identical to how Sebastian Rogers vanished. We talked about it yesterday during our live. It's very interesting. So be ready for that. It's going to be an interesting one. All right, guys. It'll be 9:30, 10 o'clock probably tonight, but I'll see you guys then. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for joining me. Really do appreciate you. Brandy, we love you. We are praying for you. Anything you need, girlfriend, you know it. You know it. We got your back. Links have been provided in the chat today. If you want to drop Brandy a Cash App, if you want to drop her the meal train that we have been kind of doing, and you just donate, and the food is delivered to them. Brandy never asked for a wooden nickel the entire 4 years of Michael being missing. She never asked any creator. In fact, I would have to send her, stuff, regardless, uh, from me or whatever, because she just would not take anything. She's sick. Brandy worked the entire time because she had to. She had to feed her family the entire time. Michael has been vanished. She doesn't make a bagoogle amount of money. They do everything they can to just survive. So if you can drop her $1 or $2, it would be greatly appreciated. No pressure if you can't. Prayers are amazing as well. Good vibes, all the above. It all matters. Thank you all so much for joining me. I love you all. Justice for Michael Joseph Vaughn, affectionately known as Monkey Vaughn. It's on the way. It's on the way. Brandon, take the deal if you're smart. It's unavoidable. Okay? It just is what it is. This is where we're at. You take the deal and you avoid the death penalty. Or don't, and they still come and get you, and you get the death penalty. I don't know what else to say. Yes, Widow, the two of them are already behind bars. I want to thank again PNW and the gentleman who was up there. I can't remember his Daniel. Daniel. Thank you, Daniel. I know it's very brave of you to do that, and I appreciate you as well. So, sorry, my little monkey is being silly. All right, guys, I love you all. I appreciate you, and I'll see you guys here in a little bit. Much love. Bye bye.